Lots of lovely flowers, narcissi, snapdragons, feverfew, ranunculus, tulips and sweet William for this lovely mix. And I don't want it to be too foliage heavy. I'm going to make it so that it's just rosemary and ivy. It's all about the flowers today. Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm making a dinky little winter wedding. So we've got all of our vessels here ready, and I've got lots of lovely flowers to show you, and we're going to make small. I'm very keen on small weddings, and I love affordable wedding flowers, and one of the ways to make it affordable is to not have too many huge arrangements. Keep it dinky. So I'm going to make 2 urns to frame the couple, but they're going on the ground, so that it's not about height and wow factor, it's about cushions of flowers. Then there are 2 more urns that are going to be on the sideboard, pretty, not too huge, arranged. They like what my client would like is something cushiony. Bridesmaids, and I need something for the bride. Anyway, this is what I'm making. Not an enormous amount, and but hopefully very beautiful and very stylish. And if you're new to the channel, you're very welcome. Please do subscribe, press the bell icon, and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. Do like the clip if you've enjoyed it. And if any of the tips and tricks we give you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee, or better still, join my club where 375 other people are making a fun community of flower-loving types. All right, on we go. Oh yeah, the blurb to club membership and coffee buying is in the links to club membership and coffee buying are in the blurb to all my clips. Right, come on, let's get on. Right, I'm going to start with the 2 urns, and I've put them on the floor because they're going on the floor, and I need to be able to see what they look like from above. They're going to be looked down upon. So it's a very crowded studio. This is like the worst time of year for my studio. So I can't really get away because I've got heaps of plants and dahlias and all sorts coming in. But if you imagine, these are going to be either side of the bride and groom when they pledge their troth. So I need to make, it's not really about what they look like from a distance, although obviously the congregation will be sitting back here. It's also about what they look like from above. So I'm going to make them first. And as is always the way, I'm going to start off by greening them up. I'm just going to give them a little bit of ivy to give everything a base to sit in. My mechanics are practically non-existent. There's no tape, no wire, nothing. But I'm going to use my foliage, my ivy, to give everything else a base to stand in. But I'm also going to keep these big ivy leaves because they are going to frame the posies. So waste not, want not. This is useful. simple, just a cushion of ivy, not fancy pantsy. We're not doing fancy wedding flowers. We're doing something very simple. Now I'm going to add some flowers. They're going to be mostly white, which on a gloomy day like today really shows up. I always ask people in the winter, I'm more likely to encourage people to look at white flowers than coloured flowers, because on a gloomy day they really glow. I've got a little bit of yellow just to give it a springy feel. We're the end of February, it's the 29th of February. Leap year! But essentially it's white. So I'm going to put some white in and we'll see how we go. I think what I'll do is I'll let you watch the whole process for this, and then I'll make the bouquets and you'll see, because this is the bit. Otherwise we'll be going, this clip will be 4.5 hours long. Right, let's have some snapdragons. These are all British grown flowers, by the way. I only use British flowers in my floristry. I quite like the fact that I have very strict boundaries within which I work. It forces me to be more creative, and my work is therefore always seasonal. I never have flowers that, you know when you see people make a bouquet of sunflowers and tulips together and they look terrible, even if they're both yellow, they kind of clash because the season doesn't work. So if you buy flowers which are grown in season in your locality, then they don't clash like that. Already we can stop. You don't have to have masses to make an interesting display. Don't feel obliged to do masses of flowers all the time. Go simple. So I've cut these feverfew quite short because I want the cushiony look. I don't want them sticking up. I want them to just fill the space. Now I do have full wedding flower prep workshops and demos which you can book a place on, and I explain in detail what I'm doing as I work. So it might be worth, if you enjoy this process and you're thinking about doing your own wedding or event flowers, do have a look at my website and consider booking a place, because then you get all the detail that I can't do in a clip like this, or I'd never finish. Right, I'm going to turn this off because I'm going to be here all day otherwise, and I'll show you when I finish. But you get the idea of how they're beginning. They're really simple. You don't need masses. A little can be very dramatic, and you can save a lot of money. If you pay me to do your floristry, I will quite rightly charge by the stem for what I have sourced for you and ordered in or grown for you. And then I will charge my time, understandably, plus possibly delivery, understandably, because if I'm doing your flowers, I can't do something else. And this is my job. So you can save yourself a merry fortune if you feel confident, or you have a practice, or you watch a clip like this and you're inspired to do your own flowers for an event. And while I may be doing myself out of a job, what I really like to do is encourage people to grow their own flowers and arrange them. Crazy. So there they are, just white, I have to say. Aren't they lovely? They're set myself. So I'm just going to add in a bit of yellow to spring them up. But yeah, I'm really pleased with those. So I've not overdone it with the yellow, it's just 5 or 6 in each one. And it just lifts it. I have to say, when it's all white, it could be a little bit funereal, whereas this is very springy now, and I think really, really pretty. Right, I'm going to put these up and out of the way. You can see how these are small enough that they can have them either side. I'll be the bride and groom. Look. Imagine the couple. Put you in the right place. So you can imagine you're down the aisle and the couple, obviously a bit wider, but it frames the view very nicely, doesn't it? It's really pretty, but not terribly complicated, easy to move. So after the ceremony, these will be moved and become, wow factor pieces for the rest of the day, for the reception. But they're not difficult to pick up. They are, the urns are kind of composite metal, sort of. I got them at Morrison's supermarket last year for, I think they were £35 each. And then Fabrizio aged them. Fabrizio is very good at marbling and, making things look better. So then they don't look as though they're brand new from the supermarket. They've been customised, but we've used them a lot, actually. They're a good size, easily to move around, and though I said myself, don't they make lovely? Lovely. Right, I'm going to make the rest of the wedding, and I'll show you when I've finished. Now, here's the bride. She's very small and pretty. A bit like me. No, she's very small and pretty, isn't she? But what I'm going to do is, she doesn't want any foliage, she just wants it really simple and not too big. But I'm going to frame it with the ivy. Do you remember I took the ivy leaves off and said I wasn't going to waste them? So I'm going to collar her bouquet. It'll look a bit like, when at Maundy Thursday services, the royal family, the ladies of the royal family are all given little posies, and they're always collared in ivy. So I'm going to do the same. I'll show you when I've done it. And if I'm doing a sort of tiny little wedding like this, often the reason I'm doing it is because people are private, and they don't want to have huge numbers of people and a great big foulard. Not everybody is the great extrovert. But when the bride says to me they don't want to carry anything, I do encourage them to carry something. because even if you've only got, I had 9 people to my wedding. Even if you only have 9 people, you still do feel nervous at that kind of moment. You feel exposed just before, as you walk down the aisle with whoever you choose to walk down the aisle with as your companion. I'm not sure the phrase giving away counts as much as it did, but if you have a bouquet, you've got something to do with your hands. And for a start, you're wearing something that you don't normally wear. You don't normally, I don't know about you, but I generally wear jeans and a sweater. I rarely wear a beautiful dress that's cost me a great deal of money and which makes me feel self-conscious. And in fact, my wedding, I wore a bronze cocktail dress, short, knee length. So I did really like it. It was lovely. And a green sweater, this colour. So I wasn't fancy. It was November morning. But I did have a little bouquet, and I'm very glad. And it was made for me by my mother out of the hedgerow. And a friend gave me 3 Nerine lilies from the flower shop to go in. It was a November morning. And so I had a bouquet probably smaller than this, but it was good because it gave me something to carry. Otherwise my hands were sort of flapping about and I felt very self-conscious. So if somebody says to you, I don't want a bouquet, or you think I don't want a bouquet, do consider what you're going to do with your hands if you don't have one. And it just gives you something to hold. Anyway, that's my opinion for what it's worth. There you are, dinky. Not huge, very small, light as a feather. And then the bridesmaids are just a dinky version of the bride. It's about half the size, a little bit smaller. And there are a few of those to make, but aren't they sweet? And again, I've collared them with ivy leaves. I love that look. It's maybe it's because it's, Lent. I've got Maundy Thursday on my mind. So dinky as anything to go with the bride. Here's the bride. We've got 2 tiny little bridesmaids. And then I've made 2 sort of same weight little posies that have gone in these really nice little urns. And I know they're kind of disproportionately small, but the idea is to have a little cushion, not to overwhelm the thing with flowers, to have it all, sweet. It's supposed to be sweet and charming. Anyway, I love that. I'm really enjoying this. And then we have 3 buttonholes. Aren't they sweet? I mean, I love this. I love this. I love a small wedding. I love not too much. I love doing less better. And then because it's Thursday, I will do a little one for number 1 Bruton as well, in the same spirit. Luckily, number 1 Bruton are very happy to have whatever I give them. So here comes one more, and then I'll show you what it all looks like put together. And there's one for number 1 Bruton in the spirit of the little wedding. So we've got bride, a couple of bridesmaids, the lovely big tall things, which I'm going to bring down so we can see what they look like from above. These 2 sweet little fat posies and 3 little buttonholes. I think the lovely thing about a winter wedding is you know that you possibly are going to have grey weather. I mean, it's the end of February, for goodness sake. I like the way that, in some ways, your expectations are managed for the day. So work with what you've got and give yourself light colour. Give yourself a little bit of yellow for spring. Keep it small. So there we have one dinky little winter wedding. I've put the urns on these painted boxes because it just gives them a bit more weight, gravitas, whatever you like, but they're not going, it's just for the picture. And it's really, really simple. I love the little splash of yellow. Before I put it in, I wasn't sure, but I'm really glad I did.